Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want today's full show before it comes out on YouTube, we have it streaming on the DREAMERSPRO podcast pinned below. Anyway, it looks like there's some beef in these YouTube streets. It looks like people are beefing. I don't know. Maybe it's beefing season. I don't know what the hell it is. Everybody got a beef with somebody. Shannon Sharp beefing with Mike Epps and Corey Holcomb. They over there. Now you got Pat McAfee and Bill Simmons. They're going back and forth with each other. Now some of you are like, Pat McAfee and Bill Simmons. What are you talking about? Well, if you know anything, Bill Simmons used to work at ESPN. He left again. He was known as a person that would say what he thinks. Let's just put it this way. He would say what he thinks, and sometimes it will cause him to bump heads with executives there at ESPN. He then goes, leaves, does his own thing. I believe he founded, I think, it's not The Athletic. I forgot the name of the company, but I know he sold it for like $100 million. So he's doing his thing, and he got into the podcast game pretty early, and he has a fantastic website. So he's doing his thing. So he was one of the guys that went independent sooner. And he started, kind of creating the business model that a lot of us are trying to replicate here today. Then you have Pat McAfee, who also came from the independent space, had a huge show, the Pat McAfee show. And then ultimately he was then recruited over to ESPN. And once that happened, obviously he was going to be getting more brand recognition because he's on a bigger platform. They offered him, I think, an $80 million contract over 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So he's over there doing his thing. But during his time at ESPN, there's been these whispers all over the internet by various news outlets. One of them is, what's the guy's name? I think Behind the Lines. He always talks a lot about ratings. He talks a lot about ratings, and he always points these things out. But apparently the ratings that ESPN had hoped Pat McAfee would bring in are not hitting the way that they had expected to, right? So some of his ratings have been a bit disappointing based on the standards that ESPN had in place for him. And you all know the back and forth and the friction that Pat McAfee has had with some of the executives there at ESPN. Fantastic. So what happens? This morning, I wake up and I'm going through the internet and I come across an audio of Bill Simmons on the Bill Simmons podcast. And he's making fun of Pat McAfee's ratings and numbers at ESPN. And then as I continue to do some more digging, I'd also see that Pat McAfee actually responded back to Bill Simmons. But before we even get into this back and forth, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select 2 or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting 2 entries. Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. PrizePicks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about PrizePicks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And once again, once you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is play a quick compilation of Bill Simmons making fun of Pat McAfee and the way he does his show and talking about his ratings. And then we're going to come back. So take a listen to that soundbite there.
All right. Third. So this is a quick one, but have you noticed how with sports ratings, everybody's sports ratings are up on TV? Like we just had the Super Bowl came out. It was the most watched Super Bowl ever. 123 million. It's like, man, that seems weird because I thought people under 25 were on TikTok and on YouTube and on Snapchat and on all the streaming services. You have so many more TV choices. Why would the ratings go up? And then you see like ESPN, they do at the end of the year or the end of the month, be like highest ratings ever for Get Up and all these different shows. Same for Fox. All their shows are up. Everybody's ratings are basically up except for the NBA and whoever replaced the 12 p.m. Sports Center. Well, McAfee's created a new version of how to do this.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Why uh-oh?
I don't know.
We're not allowed to talk about Pat McAfee?
Let's do it. I don't know.
He starts the show and it'd be like, Cowboys, bro. I don't know, man. I don't know. What's going on there, bro? And then it cuts to his three people.
Right.
And then they'll be like, well, I don't know. And then they'll go back to him and say, it's not good, bro. Not good. Not keep an eye on that, bro.
Yeah. Two of them are looking to take their first cigarette break. And then McAfee's just going
we don't have a rundown, bro. No rundown on the show, bro.
Dukes of Hazzard live.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. Mike McCarthy. It's not looking good for him, bro. It's not looking good. Not looking good for that guy, bro.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I would be really hard to do this podcast with 7 people staring.
Right.
But then you have to, how do you include the 7 people?
It is tough. Yeah. It is tough.
And be like, oh, I didn't get to Bobby yet.
Right. I felt a little better about bouncing stuff off of Harry after watching some of that show this week.
Jordan Love, I don't know, bro. That guy's good. He's just good, bro. He's just good.
Uh-huh.
He's good, bro.
Yep.
He's good. The guy can sling it. He's good. That's our only line. So here's the schedule.
So you heard what he had to say. Now I want to go a little bit further because we got this article actually from Sports Illustrated, and I want to go a little bit further into his quotes. He then says, and then you see ESPN at the end of the month, they'll be like the highest ratings ever for Get Up and all these different shows. Same thing for Fox. All their shows are up. Everybody's ratings are up except for the NBA and whoever replaced the 12 p.m. Sports Center spot, which is where Pat McAfee's shows sit. He then goes on to say, if your ratings don't go up, it's probably a bad sign. As you probably surmise, it was McAfee that replaced the noon edition of of Sports Center. And then the article then says quickly, last month, former Post columnist Andrew Marchand reported that that McAfee's audience declined an average of 48% from its first take lead-in from September through December 2023, and that was down 12% versus the comparable window the prior year. So that's what Bill Simmons says. That's what the New York Post had to say there. So then what happens? Pat McAfee then goes on his show, and he decides now to respond back to Bill Simmons. So if those of you who didn't hear that, want to quickly play what he had to say here, and then we're going to come back and give you guys our final thoughts. Take a listen to that.
I think one of their parlays on FanDuel had like 60,000 people riding alongside of it.
Pretty good.
I think Bill Simmons, who has it all figured out,
Yep.
I think he had like 8,000 people riding alongside of him.
Like 8,300, I think.
That's a huge number. Yeah, it did not hit. That's really big. Really good, Bill. You still have it. I think we had 250,000 people or something like that. Yeah, keep running your mouth, Bill. Keep running your mouth. Anyways, Chiefs.
So you heard what Pat McAfee had to say here. What are my thoughts on this? Well, first of all, I think there's an element of Bill Simmons poking fun at people who still go back to work for ESPN. I think some of these guys that have gone independent are looking at people that are still rushing to go back on linear television and saying to themselves, bro, when are you going to cut the umbilical cord? When are you finally going to bet on yourself? Now, maybe in the minds of those people that love to be on linear, they're saying to themselves, you're getting a guaranteed check, because when you go in independent, you don't, in most cases, unless you get some type of mega deal. You get the job security because you're getting these long-term contracts. So if you get a 2-year deal, 3-year deal, you know exactly how much money you're going to be making over the next 2 to 3 years. Whereas when you're independent, things can change, depending on how you got your business structured, right? So you have that. But maybe Bill Simmons is like, bro, when are you guys just going to finally take the dive? Don't you see where all of this thing is trending towards? Linear TV, I mean, who's watching TV these days? I mean, people still watch, but viewers' behavior is changing. So what's taking you guys so long? And a quick aside, I was thinking about Stephen A. Smith just the other day, and I was like, this is a perfect time to introduce him here to the topic. I remember Stephen A. Smith talking about there's no more, there's no more integrity in sports journalism. These people want to BS and all of this stuff. If Stephen A. Smith feels so, if he feels like he's so that he's such a big deal being on ESPN, why did he come into the independent sector? Why did you come on YouTube? If you felt like you guys were doing it the right way, why did you leave what you were doing and then decide to come on YouTube to join the rest of us out here? If you felt like what you're doing is above it all. So you're going to leave TV, come here, and then basically dictate who gets to talk and who doesn't get to talk? The nerve of these guys. But anyway, now let's look at Pat McAfee's side. Pat McAfee, and also, the part that Bill Simmons may be looking at this thing from is saying, it's like, bro, you were a big deal already. I think you had a $120 million deal with FanDuel. Why would you leave that to go back into a corporate structure where these guys put you in a box and you can say this, you can't say that? Why would you do that? So I think there's a part of Bill Simmons that looks at Pat McAfee is like, bro, what are you doing? Now, in terms of Pat McAfee responding back to Bill Simmons, talk about his numbers, I can understand that, right? It gets annoying. People are talking about you. It gets annoying. They're talking about your show. It gets annoying. I think that's a natural reaction. But what's interesting is that everybody's going at everybody these days. And it looks like that's the way this thing is trending. Sports media is still, I think, the dust hasn't settled yet. And I don't know what direction we're going in right now because everybody's talking sports. You have independent guys like us. You have athletes coming into the space. You have musicians coming into the space talking sports. Everybody's. And then, of course, you have people that were formerly on television. So who knows where this thing is going. But I just think it's interesting that these two gentlemen are having this back and forth. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about the back and forth between Pat McAfee and Bill Simmons? Whose side are you on? Whatever you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comments when we catch you on the next show. Peace.